All right, today we're going to do something really fun. We're diving into a classic scene from Disney's Tangled to help you solve one of the biggest challenges for English learners. Let's get right into it.
So, does this ever happen to you? You're watching a movie, you hear a word, you completely understand it. But then, when you try to have a conversation, it just vanishes. It's gone. Trust me, you are not alone. It's super common, and it all boils down to one simple idea.
You see, those words you understand but never say out loud, they're stuck in your passive vocabulary. Our mission today is to move them over into your active vocabulary, the words you can actually grab and use when you're talking to someone. We want to turn the words you know into the words you use. And how are we going to do that? Well, our language lab for today is this amazing scene where Rapunzel tames the very intense horse, Maximus. I'm telling you, this scene is an absolute goldmine of natural, everyday expressions that we're going to break down, practice, and make totally your own.
Okay, first up, let's look at how Rapunzel calms Maximus down. This part is all about common commands and a really important concept that's going to make you sound way more natural, collocations.
So Rapunzel says, "Easy boy, easy, settle down." She's trying to get this very worked up animal to relax. But hold on, why these specific words? Why doesn't she just say, "calm down"?
Well, the secret is something called collocations. Think of them as words that are best friends. They just sound right when they're together. So while you could say calm down to a horse, it's way more natural to hear easy boy. We tend to save calm down for people. It's these little details that make all the difference.
And what about settle down? Oh, this is such a great phrasal verb. It has two main meanings. The first is exactly what Rapunzel means, to become calm and quiet. You might yell at some noisy kids, "Hey, settle down!" But the second meaning is about your life. When you decide to, get married, buy a house, we say you're settling down.
All right, let's check out another command Rapunzel uses, drop it. This little two-word phrase is incredibly useful and has a bunch of different meanings.
Okay, so Maximus has Flynn's boot in his mouth, right? And Rapunzel gives him a super clear, direct command. Drop it. This is the most physical, literal meaning of the word.
Literally, to drop something just means you release it and it falls. Simple enough. But where it gets really interesting is when we start using this word in a more figurative way.
And this is where the word becomes a total chameleon. You'll hear that your favorite artist dropped a new album. That just means they released it. And probably the most useful one for you, in an argument, you can tell someone to drop it. It's a way of saying, stop talking about this, let's move on.
Okay, time to make this active. I want you to say this sentence out loud, right now. Ready? He won't change his mind. Just drop it. Go on, say it. Practicing out loud is what locks these phrases into your brain.
Okay, next up, let's talk about why native speakers can sound so fast sometimes. It's not always about speed. A lot of it is about something we call connected speech. It's how words flow together and even change their sounds a bit.
So when Flynn Rider sees what's happening, he says, "You've got to be kidding me." Now, he says it very clearly in the movie for emphasis, but in a real, fast, everyday conversation, nah, it would sound totally different.
So how in the world do we get from "you have got to be" all the way down to "you gotta be"? Well, first, we smoosh "you have" into "you've." Then, in casual speech, "got to" blends together and becomes "gotta." So "you've got to be kidding me" turns into "you gotta be kidding me." This is what natural English sounds like.
And you see this everywhere. Want becomes wanna. And, like Rapunzel says later in the movie, kind of becomes kinda. Just being able to recognize these little shortcuts is a huge step in understanding native speakers.
All right, ready to level up? Let's get into some more advanced idioms and grammar that will really make your English conversations pop.
So Rapunzel makes a deal with Maximus. She tells him that after their little adventure is over, he and Flynn can chase each other to your heart's content. Isn't that a great phrase? But what does it actually mean? If you do something to your heart's content, it means you do it as much as you want, for as long as you want, with absolutely no limits. The perfect example is an all-you-can-eat buffet. You can eat to your heart's content. Here's another little gem. Rapunzel says to Maximus, "Nobody appreciates you, do they?" See that little question at the end, do they? That's called a tag question, and it follows a really simple but important little rule.
Here's the basic rule. If the main statement is positive, the tag question at the end is negative. So, it's a nice day, that's positive, gets the tag isn't it. But here's the clever part. Words like nobody or never actually make the whole sentence negative. So the negative statement, nobody appreciates you, needs a positive tag, do they?
Okay, we have covered a ton of ground, haven't we? From horse commands to tricky grammar points. So now let's bring it all back home and talk about your mission.
So just look at all these new tools you have in your English toolbox now. We've got natural-sounding collocations like settle down, the super flexible phrase drop it, the sound of real speech with gotta be, that beautiful idiom to your heart's content, and the logic behind tag questions.
So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge. The only way to make these words and phrases truly yours is to use them. So, which one of these are you going to try out in a real conversation this week? Go on, pick one. That right there is how you turn knowledge into a skill.